the DJ.
Hey, check this out. We got a great show coming your way.
From the ECSI Sports Studios, the #1 sports information program in America, the Breakfast Bankroll, with your host, the sports broker, Jeff Dawson.
ECSI fans, you want to revolutionize your sports investing habits? Allow me to tell you about WagerWire. WagerWire is an app that helps you become a superior bettor by allowing you to sync all of your sports books and track all of your bets in one place. See your current action, your betting history, and stats. You can also sign up for sportsbooks and collect bonus offers. Follow them at WagerWire on X, as they're the best account on the platform. Head to the App Store or Play Store now and search WagerWire to download the app.
Good morning, sports fans from all around the globe. I am the host, Jeff Dawson, East Coast Sports Investors, and this is your Tuesday Breakfast Bankroll with CXO co-founder Travis Geiger at WagerWire. Our weekly trip, I feel special. I get to go to LA in the morning when it's almost 11 o'clock and it's still only 8 o'clock back in LA. But before we go there, shout out to the gentlemen behind the glass, Joseph Shea, Cade Horton, Evan Lewis, Olu, and Bennett. Thank you for all you do. And of course, our proud partnership and sponsor, WagerWire. If you have not downloaded the app, please go to Google Play. Wherever you download your apps, download it. It's free. Get used to tracking your bets. That's an amazing concept there. I have to track my bets too. Keep track of your ROI. Take a look down the bottom. They have some great sports books that they are working with. Take a look at the promos, the free bets, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And of course, with the Christmas season less than 2 months away, send an email to affiliate at wagerwire.com. A quick way to make some flash cash, some stocking stuffers, decorate the trees. Let WagerWire pay for your Christmas and gifts. Tell them JD from ECSI sent you. Travis, Zach, and the rest of the amazing WagerWire team will take good care of you. So without further ado, let's bring the star of this show, the one and only Mr. Travis Geiger.
All right. Thank you for having me.
Oh, thank you. Good morning. How is LA treating you?
LA's nice. Not too much of a marine layer this morning, so we're loving it.
It's that time of year, Travis. We were talking backstage at length. We're going over some charts and graphs. A lot of people that are not familiar with WagerWire really don't understand the concept. When I like to say turning wagers into assets and then turning into profit before they mature. People look at me like, Jeff, what the hell are you talking about? So for all the new people watching for the first time, tell them, Travis, what WagerWire is really all about.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, so WagerWire is building the aftermarket for sports bets. So the dream is that any bet that you place with our partner sportsbooks, you'll be able to sell all of your bet or part of your bet at any time for a fair market price directly to a friend or on the free market. So in this future state, imagine, Jeff, you have your World Series bet on the Diamondbacks that's way in the money. We know that if the Diamondbacks lose, that bet goes to zero. But going to the World Series, depending on when you place that bet, heck, even if you placed it at the wild card game, you're up, multipliers on what your original risk was, right? So what WagerWire does is it allows you to sell all of your position or part of your position to be able to capture that profit when your bet's in the money. Now, what we are now is a tool for all bettors to use, where you can sync all of your sports books, all of your accounts, see all of your balances, track your wins and losses, see how am I doing on parlays versus straight bets, see what teams you're looking good on. You can compare lines. You can see how your friends are betting. And then one by one, we're positioning ourselves for these books to plug us in. We can actually use everybody here as help. We're trying to raise awareness to these books that, hey, this is something bettors want. This is something bettors will use. And it's a way to make your book stand out from the crowd, right? Like what makes us, besides line shopping and being a little bit savvy, like one book over another book? I'm asking you, Jeff, like a lot of them are the same. Caesars looks this way, MGM looks this way. Is the experience really different? We're trying to like let the books that want to stand out with this experience.
And I am so glad you said it that way, because if I throw out the term square books, people are looking at me and, Jeff, what do you mean by a square book? Well, here's what I like to say. It is, I won't call out their names, but a game will be on the board today where the favorite is minus 160 and the underdog is plus 120, and they got a middle of $40 of free money for them. Where if you go to a non-square book, one that is, let's say, wager and investor friendly, and I'll use Derek Stevens, Jeffrey Benson, and the Circa, that game will probably be, the favorite was minus 152 and the underdog is plus 138. So they'll shorten it to the real true numbers. And people that are trying to turn this into a second stream of income, that they're trying to turn wages into assets, into profit, this is where you can really separate the pretenders from the real sports books.
Yeah, I agree. And so, we're hoping that everyone sees the light and that this becomes table stakes for the industry. But until then, you can go on the App Store or Google Play and WagerWire. It's one word. Get our app. You can sync your sports books and, at least start taking control of your action in that way. But then you can also use our bet value calculator to see what your bet is worth at any point in time, right? So maybe it's a good time even to pull up the World Series chart. So like if you were on WagerWire and you had your World Series action, you could see that this is when the series was tied 1-1. That $100 preseason Diamondbacks bet is worth $3,100, and that Rangers bet's worth $2,800. Now keep in mind, it's series is tied 1-1 at this date, October 30th. We don't know what's going to happen, but we do know what's going to happen. One of those teams is going to go to zero. So a Diamondbacks bettor, by not selling out of their bet or whatever, they lose all that profit that they actually had captured, on the 30th of October. And if you think of this, if this wasn't two teams, if we were back a couple, rounds in the series here, it's kind of hard to hedge these bets, right? Even if you are making, a couple calls on either side, AL, NL, it's hard to hedge a field. So WagerWire is actually a more efficient way to hedge. And like we said, you can compare these prices to what they're offering you cash out. Like this is fair market street value, we call it. But I would venture that the cash out prices being offered were not anywhere near these numbers.
So Travis, your long-term goal, so I understand this correctly, is if my ticket was worth $2,800 at this time, that and let's say I have $100 invested and I'm starting to get a little squirrely. There are people that are going to go. You don't have to sell the full ticket. You can sell, say, 10% of that off, or you could sell 25%. And as we like to say in the world, you'd be technically free rolling.
Yes, we're all about the free roll, and that's exactly right. So the idea is that you can still retain your position. You can sell off as much of it makes sense. You can just sell off your buy-in, like you say, you sell off $100 of it, keep the rest risk-free. Or you can start to capture profit. And by the way, round by round, you can capture profit. So you can sell some off after the Diamondbacks won the wild card, all the way through the pennant. And then, talk about a free roll. By the time you're in the World Series, you might just be riding that bet to see if they win or lose, because you've already taken profit at so many different intervals.
When you ask sports books, when you introduce yourself and Zach introduce yourselves with this type of concept. Now we've talked about prop swaps, been out there. They were the first ones on the market. And I compare you guys, you guys are prop swap on steroids. In other words, you're light years ahead of prop swap. So when you try to introduce yourself to a sports book, to someone in charge, what is their first impression when you try to explain this to them?
Right. Well, the ones that are, some of them are allergic to innovating because they just want to kind of keep the wheels going and not crash during the Super Bowl. But a lot of them are actually very receptive to this concept, right? They know that they need to kind of deliver a different experience. And so our challenge has really been a technical one, not a conceptual one, which is great. But I'll tell you, some of the small-minded pushback is they say, "Oh, is this going to cannibalize the primary market?" Right? You could say someone's going to buy a bet on the secondary, they're not going to place it at the window. What we tell them is this is going to grow the overall pie. People are actually going to place more bets than ever before because they have a way out. So rather than thinking about cannibalizing a bet that they would have placed at the window, it's like, no, think about how many people are going to have bets on the field on different teams that they are going to know are going to be directionally correct, that they're going to be able to capture profit on. And then the book doesn't have to eat the risk if that person wants to cash out. It's like a peer-to-peer cash out. You got someone coming along on the other side of the country, and basically cashing me out of my position. So the book doesn't have to eat that risk. And like these parlays that the books love. Get 4 out of 5 legs through a parlay, you're way in the money. That's a great bet to sell. People are going to be building more of those. So we tell them it's going to grow the overall pie. What it does for the bettor is it gives you both a way to capture upside profit, and then it gives you downside protection. Because, in finance, you cut your losers and let your winners run. That's definitely a way to do it here. And from the book's point of view, you just placed all those losing bets that you're cutting, but you're managing your portfolio. So I think what's good for the goose is good for the gander. And also it's a social betting use case, right? So if I wanted to buy my friend's bet, it came from a particular book with WagerWire because we do all the verification, KYC, all those sort of regulation checks. That person has to sign up for the book that bet originated from to redeem that, bet purchase. So we're bringing them new customers in a way that's more organic and we think less annoying than billboard ads. It's like, I want to bet with my friend. My friend's on this book. I'm signing up for WagerWire. I'm signing up for that book. Now I'm playing on that book, having a good time. So I hope that starts to answer your question a little bit.
Absolutely. And you talk about the cash out. You use that word cash out. And I know a lot of friends, a lot of peers or colleagues, that use, DraftKings, FanDuel, et cetera, et cetera. They have fun. They put together, those 4, 5, 10, 20-legged parlays. And there's always a cash out there. But the difference between, let's say, a parlay that's worth $6,000 if you go 8-0 versus 4-0 and their cash out, they're offering you $120. You're going to give you up-to-date, real-life, actual fair price, market price.
Yeah, one of the things that we do that's really cool is, we can give you a fair market price on any bet. And so, sometimes that gets complex if you think about parlays that have conditional outcomes, between offenses and points scored. And then, the diminishing possibilities as the game clock kind of gets down into the fourth quarter, like the win probabilities, all these different things. So we're able to actually crunch those numbers. We have a team of 4 data scientists that are, the reason that we have these visuals. And we're going to be making these kind of graphs available to the public where you can actually create your own soon. But yeah, we take that very seriously. We take our pricing model very seriously. We want to be like Kelly Blue Book for your sports bets. And right now, if you go to wagerwire.com/calculator, there's a manual version of this where you can type in the details of your bet, the current odds. We can tell you that price right there. On the WagerWire app, if you sync your, sports books, your bets are going to automatically get that calculation on them, which is one of the services we offer. And right now, as we stand up the marketplace, you can use that to determine like what the hedge equity is, if you want to take a cash out offer or not, or just to kind of satisfy your curiosity because you know that you're in the money, but you don't know how much.
This is the CNBC. This is the Bloomberg. This is the Lamborghini of sports right now.
Let's go. I love that. Speaking of Lamborghini of sports, let's talk about a couple races here. So this was last time we talked. This was the chart we were looking at for, the top 5 college football. And now I just want to show you the movement between week 9 and 11. We can see that this is 11, this is 9. So Florida State jumps Michigan. Washington takes a little bit of a bounce up, and proportionally Ohio State and Georgia down there are taking a steady climb. But when you add in Oregon, who could play spoiler to this whole group, it starts to get interesting.
And here at ECSI, about what was it, 3 weeks ago, Oregon traveled to Washington, basically a pick'em game. Washington holds on and wins late. they stay undefeated. Oregon had one loss, but the eye test and Bo Nix, I told all the ECSI people, VIPs, anyone that's watching our shows, it was a great time to buy back in on Oregon. We talked even last week. Oregon has a clear path if they win out to potentially play a undefeated Washington team or even a one-loss Washington team, and potentially, as you said, be spoiler. Last Friday on our closing bell show, our good friend Mr. Russell Saylor was hearing me talk about Bo Nix, and he got Bo Nix at 7-1 or 6.9-1 to win the Heisman Trophy. So there's ways to buy stock in Oregon to get to the big dance to win the title, and even more profit to be made. Hey, if you like Oregon to get and win the title, you better buy some stock on Bo Nix and the Heisman Trophy as well.
Yeah. So speaking of that, boom, we got Bo Nix, and I just put him next to Caleb Williams for for the lulls, as they say. I was actually able just to get the Penix graph too. So, but you see Caleb's fall from grace and Nix's meteoric rise. And let me put Penix in there. So, I mean this is the real one to keep an eye on. I think these two are showing up as contenders.
Yeah, in the college football, it's almost like last man standing, and the carnage is coming. The second Tuesday now, the committee will come out with their top four. We have some key games this weekend. Michigan travels to Penn State. So if Penn State was to upset Michigan, there could be some carnage there. Ole Miss, 11-point underdogs, travels to Georgia. So does Ole Miss?
Yeah, there you go. So
right.
Ole Miss, yeah, Ole Miss is sitting right there in the lurch. They were way up. This is again for the audience, $100 bet placed at this date, and on our charts you can kind of start them whenever, and you can put whatever values you want on the y-axis. But we're normalizing this at $100 bet placed when the windows opened. Week 4, Ole Miss was way up. Georgia's been steadily climbing, as you might expect. Alabama had that, gave people a little bit of are they going to be who they are? They're kind of right back. So it's still a very close pack. It's a question for the experts, not for me, if a one-loss SEC team or a one-loss Big Ten team, or which ones do what, because they're all headed for a collision course here.
So you get the Big Ten in front of us. Again, now here's what I'll tell everyone watching and listening that has this opportunity. Michigan is a 3.5, 4-point favorite. They play at Penn State at noon on Saturday. If you were going to take action on Penn State in this game, you should probably run to the window and see if you can take Penn State then to win the Big Ten. Yes, they lost to Ohio State earlier, but if they beat Michigan, and then let's just say Michigan beats Ohio State, then you got 3 teams with 1 loss. So they would still, I don't have the numbers in front of me, who would go if there was 3 1 losses, because they all beat each other. But my point is, you're getting great value on Penn State to win the Big Ten versus taking them plus 3.5 on Saturday.
Totally agree. So there you go. Then if you wanted to round it out with some NFL, I think that this is an interesting time of year right now. And by the way, we survived with the Browns and Cirque Survivor. So on to the next one.
Have you looked at this week's yet?
Yeah. The Bengals play the Texans, which I think that this is, if you look at the biorhythms of the Bengals seasons, like, I'm actually happy that they got off to like a sputtering start, because they cannot as a Bengals fan, they cannot maintain excellence through the course of an entire NFL regular season. They have to find where their lulls are going to be. I think that they had one. I think they're going to get really hot, and then they're going to give some people some doubts kind of going into the final stretch, and they're going to get hot again going right into the playoffs at the right time. So they've been in bye territory a long time for me, but just jumping ahead here, something interesting happened after that Sunday night game. This is them, week 9 now going into week, 10. We see the flippening happen. So now the Bengals have are better odds to win the Super Bowl. But I kind of had always felt that if you look back to week 5, this is disrespectful. $100 bet, you could have bought it bargain bin for $25. Unreal. And now still half of what they were valued preseason. I think they've shown me, everything I needed to see. I think there was a little bit more questions even. I mean, you can see where Joe's injury really started to affect things. And now they're just on that bounce back up, and they've already flipped the script. So something to think about.
I am in a local survivor contest, and I think our plays have mimicked each other the whole way through. I looked at this week's board, and the difference between my contest and obviously yours is you can win $9.1 million, number one. But number two, you have to save one of the 6 teams for Thanksgiving Day, and which is I'm assuming you saved so far the Lions and Dallas, correct?
So we used the Lions, so we got a lot on the boys on Thanksgiving. That's really going to be the hump for us.
Okay. And your eyes have flocked to who dat and the Bengals this week, correct?
I think so. I mean, I do think the Texans are for real, but I think that this is a good time to hit the Bengals in stride where they're just going to take care of business.
I haven't seen this week's chart. What is your $1,000 investment currently worth? Did you seen it?
So it was 7,500 going into this week, and then I think this week only knocked out 50-ish people. So I'm imagining it's going to stay when the flippening really starts to happen when there's under 1,000. Then our entry is going to be worth more than 10,000 once the entrants get under 1,000. I think so they started with around 9,000 some members. You would in an interesting. So we've actually been pricing these, by the way. Your ticket can really be valued higher depending on the teams that you have left. Like if you have stinkers left, even though you're that far in the tournament, doesn't really mean anything. One of the things WagerWire can do actually is you can sell stake in your contest entry. So I've seen a lot of stuff on Twitter about people making side contracts. I've seen a couple services and things like that. We integrate directly with the sportsbook systems to do this kind of reconciliation and assignment. And yeah, I think it's a great use case for Circa, and really anybody who's doing March Madness pools, anything like that. We're going to be doing some fun stuff for March Madness. I think it's a great use case for us. Like for example, one of our dudes in our content that does content with us here at WagerWire, he was number 7 in the DraftKings Super March Madness pool going into the Final Four. Right, his ticket or his entry, I'm sorry, was worth 50 some grand, 52 grand, and he had Gonzaga to win, so he went bust. But I mean, it's one of those. It was a high cost of entry. He could have definitely got at least his, cost of entry off the table from making it so far. And yeah. So, but if anyone is listening is interested in buying into our Survivor entry, we do have a mechanism to do some sort of side agreements. I think we're going to make a deeper run for it. We make content all the time around it. You'll be hearing us talk about it, I'm sure, more with Jeff if we continue to survive.
I love that thought process, and it draws me back to the professional poker players, and I do a lot of work. I have a lot of colleagues and friends that are professional poker players as well. And you go on to Twitch, you go on to watch these guys to go poker go, and they're in the big tournaments, and they sell stake and they sell shares. What their entry fee was, they might sell 1%, 2%, 3%, no markup. And you can have a stake in a poker tournament with one of your favorite guys, or like, hey, I didn't get out to Vegas, but I'd love to be a part of this Circa contest. And you guys start selling shares of this, and you're part of this every week. You got that added interest, and you're living the dream with you guys, Travis.
Yeah, I mean, look, this is what we're here to entertain, and we're here to please. So if you can get any enjoyment out of our sweat, please do.
This right here on the Super Bowl, is this the updated one you said?
Uh-huh.
So I'll go back to last week where again Dallas traveled to San Fran and I'm not San Fran into Philadelphia. Philadelphia wins. Now they have a 2-game lead, I think, in the East, but they'll have to play again in a few weeks. So again, if you like Dallas to come out of the NFC, this is a perfect buyback spot. Again, after the loss, you're getting them at plus 15 cents. A San Fran team that has lost 3 weeks in a row, coming off a bye, adding Chase Young, 3-point favorites at Jacksonville. It's a coin toss game. I think San Fran will get that one done, but a good buy spot there as well. And then the Lions at 173, they travel to the Chargers this week on Monday night as well.
So would you rather buy Super Bowl futures or AFC or NFC futures right now?
What are the NFCs?
I just loaded that up for you. 1 second. So here's the NFC versus the Super Bowl. Same group here.
As much as I think the Eagles are the best team. Okay, I'll say that. I think they're the best team. That looks like their odds from last year. I think the Lions are the upstart team.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. If I was to buy stock and shares today, I would be buying San Fran and Dallas shares before I would go up. And I like what I like to do and say is if we're going to get the NFC, you might as well sprinkle a little something on the Super Bowl as well. But at least let's get some NFC shares right now. If you had if you had $100 wager on the Dallas and San Fran to win the Super Bowl, well, you better have something on them to get to the big dance. So you have to have some shares of them in the NFC and also the NFC championship. So I would be buying San Fran and Dallas today, Travis.
Cool. And then so Dallas's opening line NFC odds were 650, lines were 1100, Eagles 400, and San Fran 350.
Correct.
Cool, man. It's for the folks.
I have to agree. Do we have any more before what is
we could, that's all for today, but we could keep some in. Well, you wanted to see the Heisman race again, right?
If you have it. If you don't have it, that's fine.
So for the people at home, one of the things that we're doing is this crazy awesome data viz thing that lets you view and create stock charts of teams. So for the Heisman, I'll have Jeff call it out here. We can build this together, actually, if I may.
No, absolutely. Absolutely. So in the Heisman race as we speak, you have Michael Penix Jr. from Washington. You have Bo Nix from Oregon. McCarthy from Michigan.
Thanks. McCarthy.
Was it the Florida State? Travis Knight from Florida State? Those are the front four. Outside looking in just for poops and giggles. Throw in Alabama's Milrose because they're trying to sneak in the back door and see what that looks like.
Cool. You can share this if you want to.
Okay. Let me pull that up.
Yeah. So there's our picks there. If we want to just see what a loser looked like, we could put Caleb Williams.
So again, what I try to explain to people, the way this is set up, guys, okay, Alabama, if they sheet and they beat Georgia in the SEC finals, they got a good chance of getting into the Final Four. So if you might be a tad too late to the party. I think you can get Alabama around 4-1 right now. We have them at ECSI at plus 2,000. So this is where we'd be really leaning on Travis and Zach on WagerWire, because we'd be wanting to sell in some of our shares, so we'd be free rolling with Alabama. But my point is, it'd be a good time to get in on some Jalen Milrose for the Heisman, because it's going to be the last man standing. And so if they happen to cheat, they happen to beat Georgia, his name will be up there. The same thing I said about Oregon and Bo Nix. If they cheat and they get to the big dance, Bo Nix will be a part of that conversation. It doesn't look like Florida State's going to lose. They'll be favored in all their games. So again, Knight from Florida State. And of course, if you think Michigan's going to win this week at Penn State, if you think they're going to go ahead and beat Ohio State, then why buy stock in Michigan to win it all when you can buy a better future with McCarthy to win the Heisman?
It's a good point.
So currently, Bo Nix plus 565, McCarthy plus 371, Milrose and Jordan Travis. So if you're a Florida State and you're an Alabama fan, as we were talking, San Francisco and Dallas, there's the stock that you'd be investing in today. You still can get good price on Bo Nix, don't get me wrong, but that's the stock that you'd be investing in today, Travis.
Cool. Don't you love this thing?
Oh my God. I'm never going to sleep. I don't sleep anyways, Trav. But I tell you, I'm never going to sleep.
Yeah. So we're working on getting this out to the public, and you're gonna be the first. You're gonna be the first person to really start to play with it. We've just kind of got it integrated to our real-time data odds and everything else like that. So it's all good stuff. All this is coming down the pipe. We're gonna have all sorts of tools for people to play with to really start to capture the value. You see, we're just working out kind of some formatting type of stuff here, and just making it more usable, making it so you can just really start to think of this as a financial model. But anyway, that's what I got for you for today.
As always, we can't thank you enough. It's now 8:30 your time, so breakfast with ECSI and the East Coast people as we're getting ready for lunch. Always a pleasure, Travis. I had the scroller going the whole time. They can find you obviously on Twitter at WagerWire, at WagerWire CXO. Closing thoughts to all your fans, your community. You got an amazing community, an amazing followers. Closing thoughts for them.
This is just getting started, honestly. I think look for us kind of in the fall and the winter. We're going to be doing more video content. We got great spaces. Everyone should come to our space on Twitter tonight. We're announcing our launch with Spark It, and we're going to be in the STN Play app soon. Before we launch in stations, we're actually doing a $1,000 bet trading prize contest. It's a $1,000 prize pool. With coins, you're going to be able to buy and sell bets just like we were talking about today. And then that's going to go into the stations app here this month. But if you want to participate, come by our Twitter tonight. We'll be with the founders of Spark It talking about it. I believe that's at 6 p.m. Pacific time. And but hang out on our Twitter at WagerWire. It's a good hang regardless. Again, my name's Travis. And check out our app, WagerWire, one word, on the App Store.
Amazing where we're going. I always look back to January 1st, 2015, when ECSI launched publicly, light years before PASPA, light years before COVID, obviously. And now here we are in 2023, soon to be 2024, and blessed and honored to be a part of something that I think is just starting and just going to eventually just take the betting market by storm. And I couldn't be prouder to be a part, Travis.
Honored to be here, Jeff, man. I appreciate the platform and for you kind of blazing this trail.
From myself, Jeff Dawson at EC Sports Investor, from the one and only Travis Geiger at WagerWire CXO. We wish everyone a great morning. Thanks to all the followers, everyone watching, if you're feeling froggy and you haven't subscribed, go over to YouTube to East Coast Sports Investors. Subscribe. It's free. Make sure you head over to Google Play and wherever you download the apps, download the WagerWire app. That is free as well. Everyone have a great, great day. Back at 3 o'clock with Andrew McGinnis for the midday market report, talking some NHL and CFL playoffs. And then at 4:30, the closing bell with Riley Magnuson, of course, sponsored by WagerWire. We will see everyone real soon.